Confidence is one of the most important attributes of a high-performance athlete. You already know that it changes your motivation, quality of performance, and obviously what you're going to achieve in life. But you might not be aware of how much confidence affects those things. Without confidence, it becomes impossible to achieve the highest level.
And that's what it's all about on this level. If you believe in yourselves and your skills, in which they have skills, you certainly can compete in this level.
Because at this level, nobody's bad, right?
Nobody's bad.
You're talking about the cream of the crop.
It's the mind. If you got,
you think it's more mental than physical?
You got a lot of guys who with the ability, but yet don't have the mind, and they're not in the league. A lot of guys who can run and jump and probably shoot, but if they don't have the killer instinct or the confidence in themselves to perform those skills,
According to Hammer's report in 1986 named The Pursuit of Sporting Excellence, 90% of the elite athletes showed a very high level of self-confidence. In another study, it reported that self-confidence is proposed to be one of the most powerful qualities that elite athletes possess. Confidence is nothing more than a positive prediction of a future event, and this is a neurochemical process that happens in your brain. For example, a lower activation of the amygdala and a higher activity of the orbitofrontal cortex are linked to a higher level of confidence. But you don't have to know all of that. You just need someone that knows that and explains to you how to work on the specific things. And that's what I'm here for. And what you don't need is stupid motivational pages that have no idea what they are talking about the mental side. These tips, although they might seem useful, they are very bad for the long-term development of your mental side. Always, everything that I bring here, it's about science. It's not my pure opinion. Every strategy, every tool, every method that I talk about in here is backed up by science. For the purpose of this video, we're going to conceptualize confidence as having a positive belief about your future or current performance. And for having this positive belief, your brain is always making calculations to understand if you should have a positive belief about the outcome or if you have a negative belief about the outcome. And in order to make all of these calculations, your brain takes some things into consideration, such as your ability, how you see your ability or how good you think you are, the odds of winning, how good your opponents are, and your perspective of the environment. And of course, this is all happening subconsciously, so you might not be aware or you will not be aware of these things happening. So for example, if your brain uses all of those information and reach to the conclusion that you don't have chances to win or you will not win or this is likely for me to fail, you're going to perceive the situation, you are going to approach the situation without much confidence. But on the other hand, if your brain make all of those things and reach to the conclusion that I have the ability to make this happen or I have high chances of winning, you are going to approach the situation with a different perspective. In this video, we are going to work on two main things: the perception of how good you are and the development of how good you can be. In other words, improving your ability and improving your perception of your ability. And to start this process, let's look at the 4 factors defined by psychologist Albert Bandura to work on your confidence. The 4 factors are performance accomplishments, things you accomplished in the past; verbal persuasion, how you talk to yourself; vicarious experience, seeing others do what you are trying to do; and lastly, your arousal level, or in other words, how anxious you perceive yourself to be, how energized you are. Performance accomplishments is basically things that you have accomplished in the past. And the best ratio for making things happen and making mistakes is a ratio of 85%. And of course, it's impossible to predict how much you are going to make mistakes or how many mistakes you are going to make on a specific thing. But it's important to have an idea that if you are failing much more than 15% of the time, if you are failing 50% of the time, that's a better ratio and you must work on that. You must try to decrease the level of the challenge you are trying to accomplish and increase the attempts that you are actually getting a right answer or actually doing the right movement. And the more you do that, the more you create the perception of this is how I'm going to do that. And this goes for both ways. For your motor movement, it means that every time you make a mistake, you mentally correct yourself and you are going to improve that. And also, if you are making much more right attempts than wrong attempts, you're going to create an image in your brain that you are good on that. and this, according to Albert Bandura, is a high predictor of confidence. Second factor is verbal persuasion. It's basically your self-talk. The way you talk to yourself is going to influence a lot the things you do. The issue here is that most of the time, or more than 90% of the time, you are not aware of the thoughts that come to your mind, and that we'll cover in the last part of this video. The third is vicarious experience. This is basically watching someone to do what you are trying to do. If you are learning to take a free kick, watch the best in the world doing that and mentally rehearse that movement on your mind. The more you are able to watch someone doing that and try to replicate, the better your tools or the better your model for creating this image on your mind and then replicating on the field. This is basically modeling your game, and this is a drill that is inside the Athlete Mentality Academy that I highly recommend that every athlete do. Lastly, emotional arousal. So basically, the more aroused you are, the more excitement, the more anxiety you have. The optimal level for performance in general is the middle point. There's the U-invert relationship for optimal performance. It means that in a middle level of arousal, you're going to have your optimal performance. But this is different for every athlete. You have to take into consideration your personal preferences, your position, your sport, and several other things. The best way to figure this out is trying it out and seeing how you perform better. Have a feedback from yourself, writing down how you feel based on what level of arousal you had. If you were extremely anxious, you are very likely to not perform well. And if you are tremendously calm, no excitement at all, as if you're brushing your teeth, you are not going to perform well either. So a middle point is the recommendation, but as I said, for every athlete, there's a different level of optimal arousal. In addition to everything that I already talked about, there's another highly influent factor that controls your confidence, and it is called your core beliefs. You can also call this as your self-image, because it's the main idea you have about yourself. In an overly simplified explanation, these core beliefs are the lens that you see the world. If the lens of my glasses here are blurry, I'm going to see everything as blurry. If they're black, I'm going to see everything darker than they actually are. So the problem with these core beliefs is when you develop a negative core belief about yourself or about your competition. Then, whenever you have this negative image, whenever you have a negative core belief, you're going to see everything in a pessimistic way. You're going to see your competitor as much better than they are. You're going to see yourself as much weaker than you are, or as much less competent than you are. So it's important to create a positive core belief, several positive beliefs about yourself, about the competition, about your teammates, about your team, about your coach, because the more negative they are, the more you're going to see things as negative. Every event that happens to you, you will try to fit in those lenses. So even if you make a good pass, you might attribute these as being lucky, or as the other team not being good enough, or as your teammate having a good positioning. You will always fit those events into the belief you have. Even if you do something good, if you have a negative belief about yourself, you are going to attribute the reason for that as something that is not so positive. A good way to identify the core beliefs that you have about yourself or the competition is paying attention to the automatic thoughts that come to you whenever you experience a negative emotion. So whenever you feel like you're not as confident, or whenever you feel too anxious to compete, pay attention to what thoughts are coming to you. What if I fail? They're too good. What are the other people are going to think about me? All of these things that are showing you what your core beliefs are. And that is why it's so important to maintain a positive view of yourself and of the competition, because the more you develop a positive way, the more you are going to feel confident to go in there, compete, and use the fullest of your ability. As I said, confidence is one of the strongest predictors for success. And these core beliefs, they are controlling the way you see everything that happens. But this is a very complex topic, and I could talk about it for hours and hours. And for this reason, I'm going to record another video just on this topic, controlling and improving your core beliefs. So, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'm going to start posting videos more often now, and I'll always bring tools for you in here for you to improve your mentality and become a better athlete on and off the field. Also, if you're looking to improve your confidence, we just started the confidence challenge in the Athlete Mentality Academy. So if you are looking to improve your confidence, this is a great time for you to start. We'll have one video each day with different tasks each day for you to work on your confidence and develop your mental side. Link for you to join this challenge and take your confidence to the next level and increase your chances for becoming a professional, a high-level athlete. The link is in the description, and I see you in the next video.